And do you think that these allies are willing to work? Because when we look at Australia and Japan rejecting the idea of sending their ships at this moment, and these are countries who are clearly impacted by the whole disruption and due to the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think these allies are willing to do so at this point of time?
The key concern of the allies and partners is that if their soldiers get killed and
Mm.
if their assets are damaged or destroyed in the Middle East, it will create a huge backlash from their own population.
Hmm.
Americans have deployed so far about a third of its aviation and naval capabilities. They have recalled some of their assets, including aircraft carriers, from the Indo-Pacific, and also very significant capabilities from Europe and elsewhere. So this
Hmm.
is a very long-term fight, and Trump also believes that America will need to partner with other countries in order to win the fight and also restore stability and security. But in the short term, we do not see a solution
Hmm.
to this challenge in the Gulf.
Hmm. So you also earlier mentioned that there has to be an effort, and Trump is trying to bring in an effort to resolve this issue. We heard Trump say that, yeah, we talked with Iran, but they didn't like the idea that they proposed. On the other hand, Iran is clearly saying that we held no talks with the U.S. At this point of time, according to you, is there actually a real solution to this war as of now, or a ceasefire? And what terms do you think would Iran be willing to take for a ceasefire at this present moment?
3 days ago, Mujtaba Khamenei, the new leader,
Hmm.
said three things very clearly. One is he wants the American forces to withdraw from the Gulf, and that will not happen. Second is he said he wants Americans and the Israelis to pay reparations, and that will also not happen. Third is he said that Iran will continue with its programs, meaning Iran will continue to arm, train, finance, direct its proxies, including the entity in Yemen, in Iraq, and Lebanon. So I believe that Iran is not yet ready for diplomatic negotiations. I believe that this phase of war will persist until the current leadership in Iran, that is in fact following Ali Khamenei's strategy and vision, is decimated. I do not think that the current leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, will want to have any talks with the Western nations, especially after his father, mother, his wife, and his children and his siblings have been killed. So this conflict, I do not see a short-term solution to it.
Hmm.
And I also think that there will be a phase for negotiations, for diplomacy, but in the short term, I don't think it will happen.
Hmm. Earlier, when we were conversing, you also mentioned the Houthis. As of now, they haven't really acted. Hezbollah has acted, but then we haven't seen any action from Houthi. How do you analyze, Houthis at this present moment, where there has been an attack on Karg Island? IRGC has said they have warned against, any more attacks, that they're going to go and attack the oil facilities and U.S. military bases. How do you analyze the Houthis not taking part at this moment, and do you think there will be the participation of Houthis in the coming future if this escalates further?
You are so much up to speed because I want to share with you that the real threat
Hmm.
will come from the Houthis because they have been restoring their capabilities in the last year.
Hmm.
And once they start to attack, they will target Saudi Arabia, UAE, Israel, and other countries that are working with the United States.
Hmm.
So the Houthis have already issued a number of warnings
Hmm.
that they will determine when will be 0 hour, meaning the date they will strike.
Hmm.
And my personal view is that that unless the Gulf countries and the Americans work together, the Houthis will strike, and of course, there will be very significant damage. So there must be preemptive steps, if not military, diplomatic, to prevent the Houthis, especially the group called Ansar Allah, which is the IRGC proxy, one of the most powerful proxies of IRGC, from returning to war.
Right. That's a significant point you just pointed out there. Also, reflecting on the Gulf states, this situation where there are being attacks, oil facilities are being shut, airports are being shut, infrastructure has been damaged. How do you think the Gulf states are looking at their relationship with the U.S.? Because clearly they donated or they gave a lot of money to U.S. economy in exchange of security right as of now. But somehow we do see there has been attacks on these Gulf states. Going forward, how far can the U.S. and GCC relationship work at this point where they clearly have not been able to give much security to GCC?
Compared to the threat posed by Iran to the Gulf states have fared very well. In fact, UAE is experiencing the highest number of attacks, and they have interception rate of between 95 to about 98%. UAE is the most targeted state by IRGC after Israel, but they cannot endure for too long. So what is important is that they will build their defense capabilities. They will also build their offensive capabilities, but they want an end to the current regime in Iran. They will not express it openly, but discreetly they have communicated to the US that the threat to their countries will be very significant from Iran. There are six middle powers in the Middle East: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt. All these countries have suffered from attacks from IRGC, and all these countries do not want the continuity of the Iranian regime because they do not think that Iran under the Ayatollahs will bring permanent stability and security to the region. That's why I said that the phase of war will continue in the short term. And of course, it may damage the region and will have long-term consequences for the region.
And do you think in any time soon, because as of now, the RGC Iran, they're not stopping with these attacks, do you think as of now, the Gulf states have just been defending? Do you think we will see, if this escalates further, do you see any action coming from these Gulf states?
Yes, certainly, because the Americans themselves will not fight this war with Israel. They will want greater participation on the part of the countries, but they are reluctant to do so at this point because they know that when they attack, they will be attacked even more severely. But at the same time, if this the spate of attacks, the tempo of attacks continue, and if there is an increase also by the participation of the Houthis, certainly they will have no option but to strike back. They will have to defend themselves. So I believe that there is going to be a point where the Gulf states will move from the current phase of defense to offense.
Also, let's talk about the other party in this whole war. Trump has not given up. He's not just warned NATO. He's also pressing China to help with opening the Strait of Hormuz. Trump has said that he's going to delay his visit to China. How do you assess China reacting to this request by U.S. and would they be willing to act on it?
China always wants a peaceful rise of China. This is the principle of Deng Xiaoping. They do not want to get involved in conflicts, whether it is in Afghanistan, in Iraq, or in Somalia, or now in the Gulf. So China will not participate. Certainly, the Chinese ships have not been attacked by IRGC because Iran and China and Russia and North Korea, they have an access of alliance. So I believe that the Chinese will keep far away from this conflict, except China will offer to be a mediator. But the time for mediation has not yet come. Russia will offer to be a mediator, but Russia itself is a partner of the Chinese Iranian axis. So we are seeing a new axis that is emerging, and this axis will participate only in the diplomatic side. They will not work with the Americans to contain Iran.
All right, of course, we'll have to see what kind of development we see going forward. I thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and giving your perspective. Appreciate it very much. That was Dr. Rohan Gunaratna, Professor of Security Studies at S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, live from Singapore. Thank you so much.
Thank you.